Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Who Art Thou podcast. I'm your host, Darragh Harlan, and with me today, I'm absolutely delighted to say that I have Horrenda making their return on the podcast. It's been quite a bit since the band were on the last time, and this time around, I'm joined again by CJ and Darragh, and I have Mark on for the first time as well. So for this episode in particular, what we're going to be chatting about is firstly, the band's fantastic closure to the Siege of Limerick, which was just an absolutely wonderful set, to say the least. I think it was one of the guys' best sets I've ever seen them play. So chat about that for a little bit. And then we're going to be talking about basically all of what the band has in store for the next year, including releases, music videos, all that kind of carry on. It's a very, very, very awesome episode to listen to how much the band has gone on since the last time they were on, and a very, very exciting episode for me as a massive fan. So I really hope you enjoyed. As anybody who listens to the podcast know, I absolutely adore this band, so it really is a pleasure to have them on again. So anyway, I'm going to stop my rambling. I'm going to get on with this episode. Here is the theme music by Zach Stevenson.
Podcast time.
Anyway, we're here for a new episode of the Who Art Thou podcast. I'm with Horrenda. I've got Mark, Cormac, and Darragh with me. Guys, thank you very much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you again. And Mark, obviously your first time on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for being here, man.
You're all very welcome. I guess first things first, because it was the most recent thing I saw you guys do. How did you find the Siege? Closing it, because that was one of the best sets I think I've ever seen you guys play. It was amazing.
It was intense. Like, I think that was probably our biggest ever crowd that I can recall us ever getting.
Yeah, it was surprising, stressful, but then really, really fun. So
yeah, for the context,
what happened at the beginning?
for the context, 2 songs in, the power went for the whole stage, or just for the guitars and the bass at least. We think
it tripped down. It was the whole venue. It went downstairs.
The whole venue.
The whole venue went down.
Wasn't it a whole venue? Because the PA I think was still up.
It was myself, Keith, and Aaron mainly were cut out.
No, the drums were cut as well.
So I can actually tell you exactly what happened, because I talked to the sound guy afterwards. So the power went for the entire venue upstairs on the stage, and it tripped downstairs. So what happened was some sort of liquid came from the crowd and like hit the power strips, and and it killed the power. It tripped something downstairs, knocked the power off to the entire stage, so everything went on stage.
Jesus Christ.
And they had to like fix it.
Sake.
So yeah, that happened.
Just some lad fired a pint, was it, or something?
Now, see, I don't know. Yeah. Like when I was talking to the folks afterwards, they said it came from a punter, but that's all they said.
Okay. Well, it was a really, really fucking cool set, I have to say, and I've seen you guys countless times, but it genuinely was absolutely fantastic. Whose idea was the candle thing, by the way? I like that little nice touch.
Yeah, that was me. Like we've been using the candles for a while, but we haven't really used them recently, because when we do a bigger stage, we like to kind of have them. But yeah, I was just like, oh, we have them here, and that was it. But we've been using the candle thing for a while. Just depends really on the stage and what we can bring, and to be fair, if we remember them. But as I was walking out, because I flew in from Bruges on 11 o'clock the night before, and I was like, oh yeah, totally put these candles in, so I'm glad you appreciate them, but we haven't really done them in a while. But yeah, I think it's a cool touch, to be fair.
It is. I love when people kind of play with the stage a little bit. Just adds kind of just a nice little atmosphere to it.
I wonder how many of those candles get destroyed on average per show, because there's a lot of action by the front of the stage.
Well, like Aaron nearly kicks most of them, I think, when he plays.
That's what I take it as well.
We lost one because someone walked away with it, but other than that, someone took it home with them, which is fine. But other than that, most of them survived.
Well, I'm gonna have to ask you, because you didn't have Think on Your Sins the last time you were on wasn't out yet. What was the recording process like that for that EP, which is another phenomenal EP, by the way?
Thank you, man. In a word, nightmarish.
Yeah. Would you care to elaborate?
Just drawn out.
Yeah. So basically, when you're doing the first album, it's grand because you've been playing the songs for ages. They're all kind of your best material. You've road tested them, and you kind of have a clear path of what you want to do. When you're doing the second album, like, or even the second release, like, that's the kind of joke, you know, where it's just like, oh, the difficult second release. And this kind of was that, but not for the reasons that we thought. So obviously we went through a pandemic where we weren't writing. We started gigging loads, like, and then started doing international shows as well. CJ came on board, but we were also like, we changed drummers, so we were kind of having some issues with Jay at the time. So
it was kind of reason why we went for the EP, because we had the 4 tracks done with Jay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we parted ways. I was kind of, well, we kind of recorded like song by song rather than in a batch altogether. So our kind of thought was, do we want to like add on like an album where it has 4 different drummers and multiple different recording sessions, all try to combine them together? Or my thought was, is it just clear, okay, we take these 4 songs, add in that little intro, call it, this is the 2020 to 2020 phase of Horrenda, and package that together. And also, it was just like, we gotta put something out in 2024 just to keep the balloon going and whatnot.
Yeah, well, that was a smart move, because like you would hear it if you had tons of different musical members playing on the one collection of songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But we'd also like progress so much as well from the Altus, which is still a great album, but like, it was nearly 4 years at that point since we had recorded it. So, you know, we had. And what people might not know is we actually went to 3 different studios near the end. So it was like, Shannon obviously pieced it all together, but there was different studios, different sounds. So we were actually trying to use that as a testing ground as well. So there's a lot of growth in that release. And now, since we're in the studio again, we're kind of using what we learned from Think on Your Sins. But it's a very difficult release. And I don't mean that because it's bad. It's just like we learned a lot, we grew a lot while doing it. I think it's actually pretty cool. It has some of my favorite songs that we do actually on it.
Which is fucking amazing song, and Nun's Tears as well. Mark, were you going to say something there?
No, I haven't said anything there.
It's funny.
There's like a whisper in the background.
The awkward silence there, because like the guys are probably laughing because like Handprints is not a song that I like.
I don't want to say it.
I know, that's what that awkward silence was.
Something that has been said in the rehearsal. I was
like, why have they said anything?
Yeah, because I was just like, oh, I really hate
just
that
waiting for waiting for that drop, is it?
Yeah,
that's been something that you've been saying quite a lot. You're like, lads, can we just take it out of the set list and play something else?
It's a fucking brilliant song. What the hell?
It's the music video.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
The reason why is because like there's other songs that I prefer to play, so it's just kind of a selfish thing. Like, and it's funny with Nun's Tears. Nun's Tears took years to grow on me as well. I was like, oh, I fucking hate this song, and then it clicked with me. I was like, oh, it's actually really fun. So I'm waiting for Nun's Tears to do the same. You know,
I think it's fully grown on it now, Darragh.
Oh, it has. Yeah, it has. Yeah.
What is your guys' favorite songs on it?
Mark, and you. I'll answer last. Go on.
I'll say my favorite would be Think on Your Sins, but definitely Nun's Tears as well. Would be my favorites. Come and See as well. Obviously, the pinnacle start of that groundbreaking of the EP as well. That would be my favorites.
The True Chords of the EP. That's my favorite. I'd say Come and See is the most impactful track for me, because I just feel like that's like maybe the most put together song, and like that's like kind of the introduction melodies. Also, that's where that was the first kind of big songwriting element I put into a track. And Canto, that I just did, basically I just took some parts that Mark wrote, rearranged it a little bit, and turned that into like in my own little studio into a track.
That was something we did together in your own room studio as well.
Yeah, this is my bedroom, so.
Yeah, literally bedroom studio, just put a 1 minute little epic piece together.
Yeah, crazy amount of bands that I've interviewed where stuff sounds absolutely phenomenal, and they're just like, yeah, I just did that in my bed.
Very much.
Yeah.
Magic happens in the bed, I'll tell you that.
And Darragh, for yourself?
Yeah, Come and See, I think is the big one. You know, like I think On Your Sins has a really cool like middle bit, and we're kind of using that to go forward, because I'm a big fan of post black metal and stuff like that. So that was cool to play around with that and try something different. But Come and See is just like, one, it's really fun to play. Two, the video is badass. Three, the actual like song itself, I think, is really well put together. It's funny, speaking of, you know, writing stuff randomly, I had my guitar on me while I was watching Nightmare Before Christmas one time, and I was like, that melody's really fun, like Kidnap the Santa Claus. So that's the same notes as Come and See. And that's where that riff came from. I was just like watching it, and I was like, oh, that works, and I took it in and it became Come and See. So there you go.
Speaking of Come and See, don't know if you listened back to the last podcast we did with you before this.
I can't listen to it because I'm plastered in it, and I can't listen to myself. I can't listen. I can't listen to myself when I'm drunk. So I can't listen to it.
Yeah, I think at that point we put out the handprints video, and we hadn't like finalized the EP plan yet, but we'd already put the pre-production for Come and See into play. I think maybe it had been filmed at that point. But while I think you asked anything else, any last words for fans for Horrenda, and I just said, come and see the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
I still have yet to see the film, actually. I have it downloaded, but I have never watched it because I'm constantly just like, do I want to put myself through this movie? Because I've heard it's pretty bleak. I know it's amazing.
It's very grim.
It's very grim. It's not the worst film you could put yourself through, but like when we were writing a lot of that EP, we were just kind of like flicking through movies that we liked, because we were like, right, what do we write about? And Aaron is a big movie guy, so he will just be like, I like the two movies that we used a lot of were The Devils by Ken Russell, which is phenomenal. If you haven't, if no one's seen The Devils, do watch it. And Come and See as well. So it kind of just made sense to kind of really focus in on the bleakness in those films.
Come and See, it's a difficult wank. Not impossible.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if I can leave that in, CJ. Yeah, that the Devils as well as just a source material. Like I watched a documentary on the Devil of Loudun's story, and friends of mine are just like, what is it? It's just like, well, basically a bunch of nuns were flicking their bean to a priest they never met, and then the priest was accused of being a Satanist. It's just a mad story in France.
Yeah, well, it's the historical thing on it is different than the book, because it's actually based on the book by Aldous Huxley.
Okay, it's not the actual real story, is it?
No, the real story is the thing that happened, but the movie's based on the book.
Okay,
it's a wild story.
It's crazy, yeah.
It is crazy, but like that's really cool, because like when you go through history, particularly around that time period, there's just mad shit that happened, right? And it sounds so unreal. And then you're like, wait, the world is equally as crazy now. But like, a story that I always liked when we were going through in college was like in the 1000 AD, there was, they believed the world was going to end, like 100%. The world was going to go, it was over. And the Pope walked out with two swords and said the world is over, and everybody lost their mind completely. And I'm like, there's no way that actually happened. And then you look at what happens now and you're like, oh yeah, no, that probably happened, all right. You know, and that's kind of, and you know, that's the lens that we went through this EP with, where it's like shit is absolutely off the wall crazy.
Yeah, like even like I remember going through, which I kind of get from the Devils and stuff. If you ever look at what was going on in Europe during the Black Death, it's just endless source material for how bonkers that whole period was.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, like think about it, like with COVID, like, you know, it wasn't as bad as the Black Death, obviously, but for a lot of people, they had a bad time, and there was a lot of mad stuff that happened there as well.
Oh yeah.
So imagine that scaled up, where your entire family are dropping dead around you, and you don't know what's going on, and the science isn't there to do a vaccine or whatever to make it better. It makes a lot of sense. Like again, I was in Bruges there last week, and that was a plague town, and you kind of see yeah, man, the plague.
Oh, I never knew that. Okay.
Devastated Bruges. Like one of the saints there in the church, they have some really beautiful churches in Bruges, but one of them, the main saint there, he was like, he actually went and saved a bunch of people from the Black Death when it was rampant. So like, yeah, like it's fun to go back and have a look at history in that sense through a modern lens, which is not always the best way to do it. But when you're thinking about, did that happen? That sounds a bit mad. And you just look back to what happened now, you're like, oh, no. Yeah. Humans have always been crazy. It's always been crazy.
I got to ask you one more question about the EP before we move on to what you're working on now. Where did you find the artwork for it? Because I love those kind of like Albert Dürer woodcuts and stuff, but I've never seen that particular piece. I know it's not by Albert Dürer; it's by somebody else.
No, that's by Gustav Doré.
Yeah.
So like Durer's great, don't get me wrong. So look, I'm gonna take credit for that 100% because that was me. Nice. Like I said to the lads, I was like, look, we need to kind of tie this together. How can we tie this together? And I was like, this feels really like Dante's Inferno because it's constantly going through these different levels of like madness and wildness of the human condition. And I don't know if you read Dante's Inferno.
I've read Dante's Inferno, yeah.
Yeah. So
I read it in college, and constantly the girl sitting next to me, she goes, "You pretentious prick." And I was like, it's really cool. If you read it's
cool.
Really cool.
No, it is really cool. But you know, when you're going through and you're reading it and you're like, okay, this is, and it just kind of worked really, really well. Yeah. And we kind of like, we'll tie this together and it will become a big thing. And that's what we did. And I was, you know, kind of sitting through the whole art thing. It's like, do we pay somebody for art, whatever, or will something grab me? And I was flicking through just randomly on Facebook, and I discovered these woodcuts or these etchings from Doré, and I was like, okay, these are pretty sick. And I bought the book then, and I was flicking through, and I was like, okay, we can actually use a lot of these. So that's what it is. It's our kind of like, it's not a concept album, obviously, because we didn't write it in mind. But it just, from using it as like a sense of motifs and stuff like that, it just works really, really well. And I'm glad you liked it, man, because I think it's, you know, that art's fantastic. And
my Fan of Year project in NCD was all lino cuts and stuff like that. I love that kind of style of art.
Me too.
So yeah, it was really, really fucking, it really ties the entire EP together. It's a really cool piece of work.
Thank you.
So I guess now I'm going to ask you is what do Horrenda have planned for the future? What are you working on?
Everything.
If you can tell.
Everything.
if you can say anything about it.
More. I think we have more gigs not announced than we have announced.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Going back to the UK multiple times this year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the gig schedule is pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah. The Scotland tour that's been announced. So we're going to Scotland in July. Playing Hammerdown Fest in July. That's been announced.
Cool.
Cosmic Void Festival in September. That's been announced.
There was a few little local shows just before Hammerdown Festival, from what I remember as well.
Yeah,
there is one in August.
One hasn't been announced yet.
Oh yeah.
I'm just looking at the show saying what has been announced. I think that's pretty much all the shows that have been. Oh yeah, obviously the Dublin headline show, August 16th.
It's going to be very, very fun. You're playing my birthday for the second year in a row.
Nice.
And I'll be here for this time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So that's kind of awesome.
Show, especially after watching their last stop on at the Siege. I thought they were fucking class.
They were deadly.
Yeah, they're really fucking good.
They're really, really good. Like basically we have a lot of shows still to be announced. Our next show is in Cavan, and that's a charity gig in Blessings Bar, and then we're in the UK a bunch. And then we come back, and then we're in the UK again for a lot. So all I'd say is, if you want to see us play, there's lots of opportunities to do so. Just keep an eye on the social media, because it is a case of we've announced stuff. There's so much stuff we haven't announced. So it changes literally on the day, you know. But it's exciting. Like we're playing more gigs, even in the stuff that's announced, than we have in like an entire year at one point. Jesus. So we're really like hammering through, which is exciting for me. The guys are kind of like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, I will just play constantly. And I know Keith's the same, but I'm always like, is this too much? But I don't think so. I think
I'd play every week, but it's just a budget thing. Like,
yeah.
But besides,
keep the ball rolling on the road. You know, it's very exciting stuff. You know,
it's wild. It's a whole different experience, really, when you kind of go from like Ireland to the UK and you're over there for multiple dates.
Yeah,
madness.
People know the music.
Yeah,
I'd say hats off to you lads, because like, you know, there's been plenty of extreme metal bands in Ireland that never get over to the UK. So it's really fucking cool what you're doing with all the shows.
And you got to do it. Look, I want to speak openly here. Like we sat down as a band, and we were like, lads, what do you want to do? Because like this is before we played Siege a bunch, but we didn't obviously do the headline. We didn't do the main. We didn't do like what we had done recently. But we had done a lot, and we're like, right, what do you want to do? And I think it comes to that point when you're a band, maybe over 4 or 5 years, where you're like, do you stop? Do you just keep playing locally, or do you try jump over? And I think unanimously we're all like, yeah, let's go. So, I mean, like, my advice to any bands in Ireland: get off the island.
Yeah,
go into Europe, go into the UK. You know.
I have to agree with you. Like, one of the things I was chatting about this with Conor Malloy from Louvain, and I was like, what the hell? It's particularly, I think it's particularly a Dublin issue. It's like, what is it with bands just staying in Dublin and not even going up to Belfast or, you know, like even down to Cork or anything? It's very strange. It's like there's other places to play around Ireland alone, and then you can go over to the UK as well. But some bands just,
people do different things. But some people do different things. Yeah. I mean, like probably for some people playing Dublin is enough, and that's great, and it's totally cool, and I'm like, awesome, you know. And look, I've done that for years. CJ, we've done that for years, like in different bands. But with Horrenda, it's like everyone is on the same page. We want to see how far this can go, or you know, how many, like, get everybody to listen to our music in different parts of the world. Like that's a mission for us. But some bands just don't have that mission. They're like, no, we just want to make some songs and
fair enough,
good time, and that's something to be admired too. But if you're in our mindset where everyone's on the same page, you got to get off the island, you know.
And to be bold, like, I think some people just have a lot busier lives. Like, at this point, we're all just 6 guys. We don't have kids. We don't have mortgages. We're just still young, not many responsibilities. We can say, screw it, let's just play a lot of shows. Dump as much resources as we can into playing shows in different places while we can. Well, there's just a lot of our friends, they have kids, they have mortgages, they have a missus, they have a serious relationship with, which case they're kind of in the mindset of a band is only part of what I want to do. Me, anyway, I can say music that's the main thing I want to mainly do. I want to make my legacy and whatnot. Other guys, music is just a hobby, and fair enough to them.
And that's the difference. Like that is an important thing to keep in mind as well. Like, not everybody who plays in a band wants the same thing, but it really is kind of finding that balance. And for us, we sit down and we're like, lads, what do we want to do? And we're like, all right, let's go. And since then, we've never looked back.
No, fair play. Like, fair play to you. Like, you seem to be doing it very professionally and very, you know, properly, which is great.
Until we start drinking.
Until you start drinking. Well, you know what? I was very, very surprised that none of you were even a little bit tipsy by the time that you were playing the Siege, because that was
you missed afterwards.
We've learned that lesson the hard way.
But you missed afterwards. Afterwards, we were very drunk.
I was plastered. I tried to get myself 2 bottles of Buckfast, and I ended up getting 2 bottles of Bailey's before going in.
Man.
I just felt like I fucking rock when I was walking across the bridge in Limerick and nearly got sick over it. I was like, this was a terrible idea. So the time that 1 o'clock happened, I was really bad. So I actually sent myself home at 2. But I was staying with this lovely woman who, when I came in the door, all I heard was like, "Is that you, Bar? Did you enjoy the Siege?" And I was like, "Yes, Lindsay, I had a great time." And she's like, "Okay, go to bed." But very fun. What's it, by the way? Who's playing Hammerdown? I've heard of this festival before. It seems like a fantastic festival.
I'll get up the line, but yeah, it's the day we're playing. It's gonna be headlined by what's that band? I think it's Bruce Dickinson's son's band.
Oh, interesting.
The stage we're on has been headlined by Raised by Elves.
Oh, fuck. All right, okay. That's pretty
sick. We need
Yeah.
to think of some sort of like a skit to film with them, like maybe making fun of bands who make TikToks. They just walk by. Yeah, making skits. That never works for metal bands.
Actually, I remember sorry, go on, Mark.
I remember coming across one of the skits from Raised by Elves, and it's absolutely convincing. That's how brilliant they are, the skit videos they do. I thought I was watching some random video online. That just comes out off-putting.
I remember one of their videos was what it's like to be Slipknot's sound engineer. And it's just some lad going like, Jesus Christ, why? All right, get your crew off the stage. What do you mean all 9 of you are in the band? And then he's like, how do you mic up a keg? And all this question. And then it was amazing because in the Facebook comments, some lad commented below, yeah, I was a sound engineer during Slipknot's first couple of years. We did generally ask the question, how do you mic a keg? And playing in a Slipknot tribute band, we got that a lot.
If you ever see the footage of those early Slipknot shows, it just looks like it does sound like shit, by the way, but it just looks like chaos as well. They were huffing a jar with a dead bird in it. which I think they got off Death from Mayhem. I think he did that as well. But Dead from Mayhem. But
So similarly, you ever seen the footage of Murder Dolls' Joey's side project? It was Murder Dolls. They played in Japan in 2002.
Okay.
I love watching that set because you can sense the hunger off them. Because like Joey, he had a bit of success. The other 4 guys, this was like totally, this is your shot. This is like you could actually make it. Going from like clubs in Iowa to a stadium in Japan, you could sense they're just going out in a sense of, I'm making this my career off this damn performance. That's what I love.
Did Joey play guitar in that band as well?
Yeah, he did drums on the record, but played guitar live.
Yeah. But I just, while we're on the topic of kind of like promoting and stuff, how do you guys find in kind of the current thing for bands in terms of marketing yourselves? Did you find it kind of difficult, or because it seems to be kind of have to be a social media influencer now as well, as well as being a bandmate for bands these days?
Yeah, I mean, look, it depends. Like, you can release. Okay, there's a great quote from Paul Heyman, who's, if you're a wrestling fan, you know who that is. If you don't, I don't know what to say to you.
I'll check him out.
Yeah, but he said you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it doesn't matter, right? So, like, our shows, when people come to them, they see us and they're like, holy fuck, that's really cool or whatever, right? Or it's really scary or whatever, right? Or the best one, I don't like black, or the best one is, I don't like black metal, but I really like what you guys do, which is brilliant, right? So that's great. So that's one way to do it, and you have to tour heavily and whatever. As far as like online, I mean, we've always kind of been lucky in a sense where people just discover the band and then they're like, you know, you get an order from Japan or Romania or, you know, Australia or random parts of the world, and you're like, okay, cool. But as far as like, you know, now a modern band using social media, I mean, CJ's great. Like, he's the guy to answer this here, because like when we started, I'm kind of terrible at social media. The rest of the band are, and CJ's really turned it around. Him and Mark have kind of worked out this thing where they will post consistently. So, I mean, I'm gonna let you guys answer because this is your realm, really.
Yeah, it's just like, listen, you can't decide where people find out about your music. You literally just have to go to the platform where people are and just advertise yourself there. Like, do I really want to use TikTok? No, I'm old enough. I don't really get it, but I recognize that's where you got to go now. And I'm starting. I think Hammerdown had even kind of like told me they could start setting up a course on TikTok and how to like best make your content for it and like how to take advantage of it.
Specifically geared at bands, is it?
I think so. I'm not sure,
okay. But
yeah, no. There's some lads at the course. Neon Empire did, and apparently it did really well for them. Although they had a bit of a viral hit with that espresso cover. But listen, do I want to be like constantly advertising myself? No, it doesn't feel naturally. But how else are we gonna promote the stuff?
Yeah.
Well, the only other way really to do it is to play the shows. I mean, like, one of our biggest growth have been like, you know, a show's been successful when the band's social media literally explodes and you're just getting notifications. You're like, okay, I guess that went well. You know?
Yeah, like that
well. I have to say, a prime example of that, actually, just to add on what Darragh said, is when we announced for Cosmic Void, like literally that exploded on both Cosmic Void and ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
And it just literally and there was people commenting or liking that we've never heard of before, or maybe might have bumped in the UK, and it kept going and going. I was like, this is probably the best announcement we've announced in quite some time. Yeah. So it does bounce, especially with algorithms as well when we post them.
As silly as it sounds, and as like kind of forward, like obvious as it sounds, the best way to reach people is to go and play in front of them. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, and that is kind of true. Like, you can reach people online, and we've always had success with that. But as far as like going out and playing the shows, like when people see us live, it's always a thing that we try to leave it all in the ring. So we're like, right, here we go. But like that's the best way you found growth. Just go out and tour.
I think I found you from just seeing you live in Dublin. I think that's how I first came across you guys. But like, even like, I'm not trying to be a complete kiss ass, but I remember one of the things, like, most of the people, there was a good few people at the charity show in August who were not metalheads at all. They were coming because it was my 30th birthday. Genuinely, that's where they were coming. And all of them afterwards, when they were watching you guys, were like, I don't even know what that was, but there was something really captivating about it. Like, that's what they were. My mum was watching it. My mum was at the front watching it.
Your poor mum.
That's my favorite reaction all the time when people are just like, what the fuck? Or, I don't know what that was, but I really liked it. I'm like, yes, brilliant.
Because they'd never seen anything like it. And by the way, it was very funny putting you guys on right after Cell games because the people were like, oh, it's going to be kind of like that music. I was like, no.
No. You know what's mad though, Barra? You can see it happen, right? So obviously when I'm on stage, I don't have my glasses on, so I can only see so much, and my hair's on my face, and I can't see anything really. But when you're playing, when we start playing the Altus, that's when you see the crowd move, and the crowd literally moves because it's like usually the third or fourth song when they've been like, oh, that's really scary, and Aaron's probably hit them a couple of times. But when the Altus hits, you just see the whole crowd just sway, and you're like, okay, we have them now, and that's a really cool thing to see. And anywhere we've been, the UK, Ireland, it happened at Siege, they just start moving, and you're like, okay, that's pretty rad, and that's when you know you have something really.
Yeah, I think it's because it's not really that complex of a song. Like, it's kind of hard to gel into a band or a song when, like, seems like every 10, 15 seconds they go into a whole new section. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how songs work sometimes, or naturally flow. But when something like Dialtus, where it's kind of the same chord progression, but just different vibes and just jam it out, it's easy to get for people to, like, vibe into it.
It's really cool to see it, like, and you'll probably see it now next time, where just it just hooks them because some people have been on the fence maybe, and then when you play that, it's just like bang, they're in. It's like that's really rad.
No, as I said, the shows I think they're fantastic, but it is gas with my friends who, like, especially the ones that don't like metal, that were like, that was fucking terrifying, or that was like, what the hell was that? But they always enjoy it. There's a girl that I work with she's not interested in metal at all, but she goes to all the metal shows with me because she just finds them so captivating. But she was like, particularly with you guys, she was like, Jesus Christ, that was intense. I was like, that's the whole, that's the point.
That's the whole point.
In Soviet Horrenda, band come to you.
But I mean, like, look, if you go to see a band play, right, and like one of my favorite bands are Megadeth, right, and I never forget Dave Mustaine was like, listen, I could say a bunch of things, but I don't want to. You guys are here to listen to some songs, so we love you. Here's the songs, right? And he never said anything again. And I was like,
it's a good thing he didn't, because he nearly got Antrim burnt to the ground the last time he spoke at a gig.
I think this could have been in Dublin, so it wasn't then. But no, basically, like, there is that kind of like school of thought where you're like, you play all the songs perfectly and you give them like a record version of the tracks, right? But that's not what we do. We give people a show. And I mean, like, if you come to the show, like we were playing Siege and I didn't know if Aaron was going to climb up the balcony or not. That could have happened. He was like, he literally said to me, just as we were at the go, and he goes, I don't want to cut the short. I don't want to get our set cut because I don't know how far I can climb. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I really want to climb that. And I'm like, okay. So like, we go in to give everybody a show, and will we hit some bung notes? Yeah. Will Matt miss a snare hit? Maybe, but it's that kind of electric atmosphere which you can't get anywhere else, and that's what we try to do.
And you do it very, very, very well. But thanks, guys, this is the part that I'm just going to ask you just before we finish up here. Just a few kind of, you've been on the podcast before. Actually, did we do this section? Did we even get to do this the last time? Just random questions I'd ask you if we're like most underrated artist or anything. Did we get to do that part? I don't remember.
We did. Yeah, I think we did. I think we touched on it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go for it again.
quick question. Have we plugged the US release yet? Surely we should plug it. Not like crazy.
We should probably do that. We should probably do that.
Yeah. Plug. What's the US release?
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, we're releasing Think on Your Sins and the Altus. Like, the Altus has been remastered by myself, and we remixed, remastered, added to Slua, and there's a video coming out.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, there's like a proper video. Angel and his wife are working on it, which is kind of scary because, I mean, I thought Angel's a visionary, but is like, his wife is sending me like stills from it, and I was like, whoa, this is some scary shit, right? So I'm excited to see what the two of them came up together. It's gonna be awesome. So that's gonna drop soon, and then we have a video for Nun's Tears, a lyric video coming out as well. And you'll really like that, Barra, because that's all using Dory's art. So
sick. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
So they're being released on our new label, and that they're both dropping in May, and then just before, they're both dropping in May.
Oh, soon enough. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So they're out next month.
Okay.
social media next month is going to be all this kind of stuff.
Nice.
This is like a physical release of those records in the United States by a US label, so any US fans can get it really easily rather than like having to import it from Ireland.
Yeah, and also
cassettes?
like,
is it or is
oh
it
no, the cassettes, like the actual like cassettes are really like I usually make the cassettes myself, but these are like properly lovely limited, super crazy limited edition versions. And look, it's a cool way to get the music out to a whole new audience. But if you guys do want that, I would recommend moving fast because they're probably gonna go real quick.
Yeah. And of course, it's going to a good cause, an animal rights charity, I believe.
Yeah, an animal shelter charity in the States. Yeah, so
guys, that's amazing. Fair play to you.
Part of the deal over there was we didn't want to take any money, so we're just donating all the money to a animal charity over there.
Jesus, fair play to you guys. That's really hats off to you. That's amazing. So when's the date for all that stuff? But it's coming out next month. But I don't spoil the date for the music video, I guess.
So basically what I'll say is go on our social media and you'll get all the dates there because we're lining everything up now.
Fantastic. Right, now we'll do this little section for about 10 minutes. The first question we're going to ask you, what is the best live show you've seen recently? If you can think of one.
I'll go last on all these.
I'll go Dragged into Sunlight at Damnation Festival.
Oh yes, I was just
you were
you
were going to fucking mention that game.
It was just so good. It was so good. But wait, that show, it gave me sensory overload. Like I had to just step outside before my brain exploded. That's a compliment.
I had to step outside because I didn't like it.
I stayed for the whole, I don't know about you boys. I stayed for the whole show and I was just absolutely going mental at that. That was one of the best shows I've seen. Now, and prior to that, I have seen Dragged into Sunlight for the first time when they were supporting Mayhem for the Dim Mysterious album.
Oh, Jesus.
Same, yeah.
Now, that was the first time I've seen them and that made me shit myself. I'll tell you. I didn't know what to expect from Dragged into Sunlight at that time, but that was good. No, I agree with Cormac. That was one of the best ones. Huh?
Yeah, they're British band.
The UK,
yeah. I fucking stupidly went and watched Ahab instead, and Ahab were shite. I don't know what it is about Damnation. Anytime I watch those, I can listen to doom metal all day long, but those one kind of note doom bands at festivals for some reason just don't do it for me. If it was their own show, I probably would have liked it, but you know, it's kind of funny when you're watching a doom show and then that's really slow like Ahab is, and then you go into the next room and it's dragged into sunlight and there's a big fucking giant circle pit. But yeah, I will admit the Dragged into Sunlight it looked good. I just didn't appreciate the thing. Anyway, we're moving on. But Darragh, do you have an answer?
So like my favorite band are Harry Carey for the Sky and Carg, and I got to see the two of them in Bruges.
Nice.
And that was unreal. Now, like, I wanted to see Carg for like literally 4 years since the pandemic. So to actually get them to play a set, it was like really badass. But like, then literally straight after, it was like a full Harry Carey set. So yeah, like they're always fantastic live. I've seen them twice this year, like 5 times in 5 different countries.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, they're obviously gonna win, but like any kind of show that kind of gives you that experience where like that kind of music, that kind of band, they're not super huge, but everyone there is a massive fan. So I love that atmosphere. That show was great, but in Hamburg at the start of the year, Harry Carey did their album release, and that was just a room full of super Harry Carey fans. Nice. So I got to hang out with the band afterwards, and just really enjoy just hanging out in Germany. So yeah, that one wins. But if you're looking for a really good show, my recommendation would be go to a show with fans, and those smaller venues in the mainland Europe is where it's at. Kind of what you said, Barra, like doom metal shows will be the same. They'd kind of suck at festivals because of the nature of them, but in like smaller venues, probably going to be unreal.
They're fucking brilliant. Like I saw,
probably going to be unreal. Yeah.
Do you know the funny thing was I saw Bellwitch when I saw them with you, Mark, actually in Dublin. Now the only annoying thing about that gig is that they didn't have the fucking. So I saw them again. I saw them in Athens with the screen, and that was one of the coolest shows I'd ever seen. It was just absolutely fantastic. Now. But again, it's so slow and it's so like. But once you're in it, and everybody was just fucking standing watching it. It was the first time I was ever at a show where I got stoned from not smoking weed because the amount of weed being smoked in the venue was crazy. And I was upstairs, so it just was like when I left, I was like, "Am I stoned? I am fucking stoned. What the hell?"
We were staying in just one spot for the hour and a half at Bellwitch, and literally all you feel is your bones shaking within your skin.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
I remember just turning to Declan Bear, and they were just like, "This is incredible." I was like, "We can't see anything," and they were still just like, "This is amazing." The seating was too. Great. But that show should have been just while we're on the top. That show should have been in the Academy One. I have no idea why it was in the green
absolutely room. It should have been. Yeah.
Anyway, but Harry Carey are one of those bands I'm amazed that are not. I know it's obviously very extreme music, but they're fantastic. I really do. I've never seen them though, so it's good to know that they're very good live.
I have said to them, when you guys come to Ireland, like, we're working on it, so we might get an Irish show.
I hear that from every fucking band though.
Yeah, but it is what it is. They were supposed to play here actually in 2020, but the pandemic happened and it killed the show. So it's not like they haven't tried. But yeah, I mean, they're like, it's so raw, such a raw version of, even though it's not as heavy as like a black metal band. Yeah. It's still just, man, like. Look, if you're a fan of Horrenda, listen to Harry Carey for the Sky, because there is a lot of overlap. Like, I mean, I was at the show in Hamburg and I ran into a fan of Horrenda at the show, and
oh, nice.
I was like, this is so wild. And yeah, I got locked and ended up texting the lads. They're telling them that, so the lads got a bunch of voice messages at like 2 in the morning.
There wasn't text, it was like 10 minutes worth of voice notes.
I was trying to save my dignity.
I was just quite a joy to listen to too.
I was just going to send that little meme that just says like, I'm not listening to that. Either way, happy that happened or sorry to hear.
Barrett, actually, just to mention a bit, speaking of those gigs that you mentioned, Napalm Death, actually, recently.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Really good. Yeah.
Were you there for Brett, actually, for the opening set?
I missed like the first two songs. So I missed when Dylan came on, but I saw when Barney came on. I saw when your man from Unyielding Love came on.
Yes, that's correct. That was something that was not expected at all. Just to see nearly every band member, a singer, coming up to sing a song.
It's because she was sick.
The set. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, unfortunately, she was sick.
Food poisoning, so she was sick.
That's right. Yeah,
she still put on a fucking great show.
She did. But, it was fantastic.
That's my third time now seeing Full of Hell. I just think they're one of the fucking. I'd prefer them now to see them in a stage like Grand Social.
True.
If I was to see them again, but Jesus Christ, they're amazing. I actually sent Dylan a very, very, very long email asking him to be the 200th guest on the podcast, so I'll be waiting to hear that if he ever comes back to me about that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But a guy can dream. A guy can dream.
A guy can dream. Oh, goodness.
But yeah, third time seeing Napalm Death and third time seeing Full of Hell. Two of my favorite bands, so that was a very fucking good show. Even Crowbar were class. I have no idea why they were playing that show, but they were really good. But if I'm gonna ask you, I'll ask you two more questions. What the second one would be, when you hear the term underrated artist, who pops into your head at the moment?
That's gonna take some time to think.
All right, we can cut the space out.
I'm just opening my Spotify here.
I'm literally doing the exact same thing.
I'm just literally thinking in my head. Underrated artists.
Who am I listening to?
Wait, the bad answer. There's this band called Horrenda.
I always say but you're not allowed to say yourselves.
Damn it. Well, you didn't say it this time.
I didn't say it that time, but normally when I ask that question, because the amount of bands that say themselves is like, stop it.
Stop it. It's like,
incorrect.
I remember asking Jake Hurley, who's Local Boy, I was like, you're not allowed to say yourself. And he goes, well, you know what? I am going to say myself because I do think I'm underrated.
So here, my question would be, are they new bands or bands that we like that should get more attention?
It can be anybody. Anybody think of. It doesn't have
to be. Anyone you feel doesn't get the love they should.
Yeah.
Oh, fair. Yeah, okay. I'm going to steal Mark's one, because I'm like that you'll probably mention. I mean, look, Harry Carey and
Which one is that?
I'm going to tell you now. So obviously, Harry Carey and Carragher are great, right? And I would say, absolutely listen to them. But because of Mark's influence, I really got into Elend. And Elend are great. And I got to see them, last year in the Underworld in London, and they were just fantastic. So, yeah, go check out Elend.
Yeah. I've seen them at 2:00 in the morning closing Brutal Assaults at the Obscure stage. That was worth every minute waiting for those guys to play. It was such an incredible show. I actually sent it on to Darragh the next morning, like, here, this is the Lende. Go see them in what was it, in the Black Heart in London?
No, it was in the Underworld.
Oh, the Underworld. Sorry, my bad. The Underworld. It was,
we played the Black Heart. We played the Black Heart and got locked.
We played the Black Heart, not the Underworld.
You got locked in it, as in.
No, as in like rip roaringly drunk.
All right.
I mean, getting drunk in a London venue, that requires a mortgage.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
It's very expensive. Very, very expensive. But I had a shoulder injury and had to get through the show somehow. So
Jesus, I remember going. I really liked the Underworld as a venue, but never ever get their fucking chicken wings. Oh, Jesus Christ! What's some of the worst? I don't know what it was. I was over in London for my 29th birthday. We were over to see Cloud Rat. And for the entire duration of the trip, it was 4 days long. Every time that I got wings, for whatever bizarre reason, they never came with sauce. So, and like my friends were like, this is getting ridiculous. So it was 4 days in a row, no sauce. But the London one, Underworld, the chickens were burnt to a cinder. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? Who would serve this?
They saw you coming. They were
yeah,
like,
they saw it go. It was just the icing on the cake for the whole trip of no wings with sauce. But the Underworld's a fucking sick venue in itself. I remember seeing Litmus there with Fen, when Fen actually put on a really good show at that one. They had a pretty bad set at Damnation, unfortunately, but I don't think that was their fault. It was a sound issue.
I remember seeing them at Damnation. I was like, what's going on there? And now you've mentioned it, the answer was pretty much a technical issue or something, was it?
It was a technical issue. The guitars were way too low in the mix. And like for a band that, it's a three-piece, the guitar should be way fucking up. But it was all you could hear was drums. Do you remember?
I remember.
It was just drums you could hear. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Great band though. Does anybody else have an answer for underrated band? CJ?
I would say either Elysian from the US.
I don't know them now, to be honest.
They're a brilliant sort of tech. They just had the title Tech Demo, but I think either their last album or second last album, it's so genius how they put down melodics, and it feels like an Opeth record and just how epic it sounds.
Okay,
it's brilliant. I think they kind of lost bit momentum because they had to change singers, and I don't think Ezra is as good as Riley, but yeah, they're finding the sound that works with him now. Either him or the Swedish version of Shining.
The Swedish, is that with Nicholas?
That's with Nicholas. Yeah.
Swedish.
So I think they just lost.
Shining are Swedish.
Yeah. Well, there's a Norwegian band. Yeah, there's a band from Norway called Shining, where it's more like weird black jazz and stuff like that, like saxophones. With Shining in Sweden, it's very extreme stuff.
Yeah.
Their fifth album is absolutely incredible, but I think the reason they didn't get as much love as it should was because just Nicholas
is a fucking nutcase.
Yeah, there was a story of someone describing what was your worst backstage incident, and so I said, I'm not going to name the band because they're probably bar embarrasses, but the singer lists all this crazy stuff, including cutting himself on stage, and then one of the comments below saying, "You don't need to hide it. We know it's Nicholas from Shining."
He did a documentary a couple of years ago where he was talking about how he's proud of basically being pro-suicide and that he's glad that fans have committed suicide to his music. He's a bad bastard, but unfortunately he does make very good music.
The thing with it is like Hamstad is just one of those albums that like you listen to it and it does take you to that place.
Oh, it's it's brutal.
It's dark. It's very, very dark. So I mean you can understand, but like it kind of is what it is. You're getting like the cover of the album is a girl with a 9mm in her mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to know what you're getting, And you know what though? But with all that being said, I think it's important when you're playing black metal now as a current band that you do kind of like tackle that stuff, and you're like, look, we like this music, but we're not carrying that baggage with us, because like Horrenda, like it's political, it has social stuff and blah blah blah, but it's more about what we think about rather than anything that came before. Like again. The lads went off and burned churches and all that kind of stuff, but that was because a lot of stuff that happened, it's relative to what was going on in Norway and Sweden at the time. Yeah. We're from Ireland. We're Irish. That's not our experience, right? Our experience is growing up in this shit show that is modern Ireland, right? So it would be silly for us to really engage with that stuff, and that's not what we do. We don't come at it from that approach. We come at it from completely different. And I mean, I think that's always lost in the shuffle. I mean, like when you're looking at the Lords of Chaos stuff, not the movie, even the book, and the movie and book, but the book isn't great either, right? But that stuff was obviously from their time and their experience.
Yeah.
And with our lens, we're like, well, why would we even bother with that shit when we have our own stuff to worry about? Which is why Horrenda's never been satanic, ever.
Yeah.
We don't do that stuff. It's not anti-Christian because we're
No,
not,
I wouldn't have called it anti-Christian music either, though.
No, it's
I
not.
just think it's just a reflection of what's going on, if anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying to you. It's a reflection of our society or how we're experiencing that. And it would be silly for us to do anything like that because it's not who we are. You know, and that's probably the appeal of a lot of black. Well, for me anyway, when I got into black metal or when I was writing it, or still writing it, you try to put forward that authenticity. And, you know, sometimes that can come across as your man's a Nazi. Yeah, he's a piece of shit, you know, or he hates himself. He tried to kill himself. Yeah. Or he has something to say about blah, 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 you know, and I think that's why black metal uniquely is one of the only genres of music where you can have that big, massive line. And it usually comes down to their society and how they view it.
No, I completely agree. It's funny though, like I think people forget about, you know, they're worshipping the Varg worship and all that kind of stuff. They were kids. Do you know, like they were just
they were kids.
Disaffected
they were
kids.
Yeah.
That's what I don't if you ever listen to last podcast on the Left's black metal series, it's so funny because it does actually point out just how ridiculous what was going on in Norway at the time with all that kind of stuff as well. It's like people worship these people like they were, you know, fucking big cult leaders. It's like it was kids doing this stuff. It's it
was dorky kids.
Dorky kids. Like you know, like Euronymous is all like I always envisioned when I got into black metal, envisioned Euronymous as this kind of like fucking really powerful kind of like edgy man or whatever. Not edgy, but I had a very different portrayal of what he actually was, which was he ran a record store that his parents paid for him and he played a couple of black metal shows.
Yeah. But that was
he was short as fuck. Like he was like 5 foot and nothing or something.
Was he?
You know what?
I always thought he was like a big 6'4" Norwegian man.
No, it was like
it was tiny. You ever see that photo of him in his own store where he's like he's tiny with like t-shirt half cut, just showing off his belly.
But the thing of it as well, it's like I always wondered where the money came from, and it was parents. Like either his parents or there was like Norwegian grants or something like that, and it's like it's a case of like. The story is a lot better than what actually happened.
Yeah, it's much
That's
better.
That's why when Lords of Chaos came out, or even when the book was there, I remember reading that when I was 16. I'm like, oh, this is not as, you know, thought there was more to it than this. And then when you're looking back, you're like, oh, of course, they were just kids, you know? And I mean, like, it would be like, obviously, if people are teenagers now and they're getting to black metal, they're probably being edgy or whatever like that. But when you're an adult playing this genre of music, you're like, well, you want to use it to say something. It's a very effective tool. But if you were running around doing the whole, you know, Norwegian black metal thing now, I mean, that's very hard to defend.
Yeah, I find it really weird when I still see bands going for like pure cult sound, like the 90s sound. It's like, guys, can you do something? Like black metal is, what's interesting about it is it's an incredibly versatile genre of metal. There's plenty of stuff you can do with it.
Exactly.
I don't know why people are trying to repeat something that's been done 30 years ago to have it the exact same sound. It just seems like, you know, I don't know.
It's like it's what turned me off modern trash, and I don't want to start a thing here, but like,
there we go.
I know, but like,
Mark just put himself on mute as soon as you said that. By the way,
Rust in Peace is the greatest
There's
thing.
Actually, noise in the background in my room.
Rust in Peace is the greatest thing made by humans, right?
Right. Okay.
There was no, as far as trash goes, right?
Right.
There's no reason to do another trash album unless it progresses. And that's the great thing about modern trash when you go and do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with black metal. It's like if you wanted to do, like, they've already done, you know, everything you can do in the cult sound, so why not push forward?
Yeah.
Or do it in a different way or whatever. And for me, that's the sweet spot, you know, and that all the bands I listen to, and even we talked about, it's because they're engaging with the material in a new way.
But sure, you look at bands that are doing like Imperial Triumphant, I think do it absolutely fantastically with the jazz stuff. Death Heaven obviously being just a huge band for me. Like I remember hearing Sunbather for the first time, and to be honest, I hated it. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then when I heard New Bermuda, I was like, okay, I get what they're doing now, and I love it now. But I hated Sunbather when I first heard it. But you listen,
it takes a while it takes a while for you to get what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I remember the first time I listened to Sunbather, later, I was sitting on the Lewis, and I heard like some random screaming. I was like, that sounds really out of place vocally. Like maybe it shouldn't go there.
Yeah,
I took my headphones
vocals.
off. No, but I took my headphones off and I realized it was a baby crying. I think that's the best way to describe Def Heaven, is that sometimes it's hard to distinguish whether it's a vocalist or a baby crying in the background.
It's like when you're on a bus and it's like when you're on the bus and someone's doing roadworks and you're like, roadworks or metal? You know,
what a combo.
But no, I mean, I think like one of the things we've always done as a band is because we have that mindset of like, we don't want to repeat ourselves. We want to kind of find a new way to do it. That's what keeps it fresh. Like I was talking to someone doing a podcast there like 2 days ago.
You did another podcast, you prick.
I know. And he was saying that like Horrenda stuff, it's fresh, even though there's like a through line through it. And it's because every time we're sitting down to record or to write, we're still being ourselves, but we're like still growing. And that's what you want to do. You just don't want to be doing the same thing over and over again, which is why like even with the sets, there's kind of that battle where I'm like, yeah, let's take out handprints, and it's like, no, we love handprints. I'm like, no, let's take out handprints.
We're back to this again.
Constant battle that never be won.
I did yield and put Axwell back in the set, so I mean, I
love Axwell as well. It's such a fucking good song.
The last show we only did it because we only had like an extra song. I was just like, okay, we need to sing a song right now. It's like
it was more that the crowd were just asking for one more song, which was something out of the blue that just was amazing.
That was super fun, and I was like, let's do Axwell. That's fun. That was a good time.
Yes,
It kills me doing the encores because like at the end of the set is like, that's me. Okay, I run to the crowd, I get beaten up by the mosh pit, toss the guitar around, beat up with the belt, like, collapse on the stage, and there's like, let's do another. Meanwhile, there's just me like going like, please. Please.
When you got into that crowd, and I was like, what a brave man he is. All I see is you just slowly walking across at the bottom, getting back on the stage.
Miriam suggested that to me. She saw how tall the stage was, and she correctly pointed out to me, like, you're not going to be able to climb up on that. Like, no, I don't have the upper body strength. What would be funnier if I walked up to the stage, realized I couldn't get on, then just had to run around the stage? And that would be hilarious.
I think that happened to Bono at Live Aid, if I remember correctly. He jumped off the stage during one of the songs to hug like a crowd member, and then he took so long getting back on the stage that they actually lost a song in their set list because he just couldn't get back the whole way up. I think that's correct. But
oh wow. Okay.
And that was it as well. The band were fucking furious with them over it, and then it wasn't until the next day that they saw the news headlines that U2 set was one of the best sets of the night, and they all just went, all right, fair enough.
It'd be like that sometimes, you know.
I'll let you know what, because I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I'll ask you one more question, which would be, I think, as we touched on it earlier, you have fantastic artwork for all of the releases that you have. What would be your favorite artwork outside of your own band's work?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
That's a good one. Yeah, there's loads of good ones.
Thank you.
I will have to go to my Spotify.
I suppose mine would be probably Imperial Triumphant's album artwork. Yeah, it's just there's something about a stark beauty to it that has a message, obviously from Imperial Triumphant, with their struggles of New York City. But there's a striking beauty to it as well. So that's what the artwork is really nice. That'll be my favorite.
It looks really good on a t-shirt as well. They have fucking amazing merch. That band have crazy cool merch. Yeah.
I've so much. Ever since even when Aaron got me onto Imperial Triumph, I just became a massive fan of them and bought all the shirts I can because it's just so beautiful.
I have the pink one with the car burning on it.
I do too. Yeah,
nice. CJ or Darragh, do you have an answer? You still looking?
Yeah, I have one. I'm going to go with one that I actually kind of forgot that I was a big fan of until I was like, I actually was going through my Spotify. In Flames have always been really good
for their covers.
Yeah, like the artwork, like not recently, but like when I got into them in the mid 2000s, like Come Clarity is still really cool.
Come Clarity is a fucking cool cover. Yeah, it's very,
it's
very
a cool cover.
That's and the white one, isn't it?
That's the white one. Yeah,
yeah, it's really cool.
And the sketching and line work was always really good. So I think like that would be my pick. Like the Gothenburg style their art's always really really unique. So yeah, that's my pick.
At the Gates had a really fucking cool album cover for their last one. It was like the it looked like marble statues, but it was red. I don't know if you saw it. It's the
Yeah,
back-
I did. So
yeah.
So what
I had that as
can,
a back patch on my jacket, and every time I get asked about At the Gates, it was like I actually just like that album, and the Labyrinth one, I was like I don't really know the other stuff.
yeah, I can tell you exactly what that is. That's from the Altar Pergamon.
Okay.
And the Altar Pergamon, well, it's still in Berlin, but it's closed. I really want to go see it. And that's what it's from. But like the same style is what the Lacoon was on, and the Lacoon's on loads of Horrenda albums. So yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. There's your connection.
Okay, interesting. I did not know that. They're a band actually that I've weirdly seen like 4 times. I don't know
At the
how I've
Gates?
seen. Yeah, I've seen them like 4 different times. They're very fucking good live as well. Really fucking good.
Oh,
live.
yeah.
Last time I saw them was with Behemoth and Wolves of the Throne Room in Vicar Street, and they were really really good.
I was at that too. That was great.
It's a really good fucking show. Yeah. CJ, do you have an answer?
I think I'm either going to go with Portal of Eye by Naval Viscaris, because that artwork is just so it looks like a kaleidoscope, and that's kind of their vision as this band that just explores so many genres, goes to so many different unique places, and the artwork is just such a grand thing with so much you could look at. Or I always kind of really like Permission to Land by The Darkness. So it's just like the plane and then like the topless like air stewardess. Like it's just something really appealing about that artwork. It just says, yeah, we're a proper cheeky old school rock band.
Yeah.
And now when you're a kid, it just screams out to you because you're a young man full of testosterone. You want to see naked girls and whatnot. And the sort of artwork that basically parents would fucking hate when you're a kid, you want that.
I've actually never noticed that until just now. I'm just looking at it right now. Like, oh yeah. There we go.
I remember one year I asked my mum to get me a Death Grips album for Christmas, and I thought she was going to get me like what's the one, The Powers That Be, and she was in Tower Records and she pulled open the sleeve of the one that's just a fucking cock on the cover. She's like, I'm not buying this. The other one was, it was like, because you're probably aware, but I come from a very, like, my parents would be quite, well, my dad would be very, very Catholic. And for one Christmas, I was like, Mum, like, the only album that I want is There's an Issue. And she's like, what? The band's called Rotting Christ. And she goes, no, Barra, I'm not getting that for Christmas. Like, but
that's
please,
a tough sell.
Like, please,
that's a tough sell, to be fair.
That's you by yourself.
You know, Megadeth famously kicked
with
Rotten Christ off a tour, off a festival slot.
Yeah,
we
we had the section too. Yeah,
one of the most uncool metal things
like,
I think I've ever seen. But anyway,
I remember he talked about that in his book, and he basically said it was like one show in Greece. The promoter picked him, and he basically said he was going to it was with Dissection and Running Christ. He said Running Christ. I'm not getting with a band called Rotting Christ. I feel like we're a bit above that. And Dissection, he just said, all I heard was he murdered a dude, so I'm not playing with him. And he just says, how is that unreasonable?
I mean, look, he has a point, right? He has a point.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between a band name not being cool and murdering a dude. Who is the more satanic band?
They're the same thing. You know what though, right? Like it's funny. A lot of the music that I would like, are like from the time period, being a teenager. Like I really like Dimmu Borgir, and I'm just like, oh, they're great, but their artwork is fucking horrific. It's just terrible. It's just actively bad. Yeah, like because it's of the time. Yeah, like it's just kind of super cheesy. Like some of it's cool, but like, yeah, no, you'll see when you're flicking through, you're like, oh, their art's real bad. But the more recent stuff, actually, the art isn't that bad. But when you're flicking back, particularly in the mid 2000s, you're like, oh, this did not age well. Really did not, because they used a lot of CG, like early CG, so it looks like a bad PS2 game.
Oh Jesus! Okay.
Yeah,
like some of their albums are.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Like I was just saying, like some of the albums obviously are brilliant, like fucking Spiritual, Black Dimensions, Puritanical.
Yeah,
but that's just it just looks like odd, edgy CGI.
It really does. Yeah, like Puritanical is the one that I would have picked as well. Like because it's like it's a great album, but like they fixed it themselves because when they re-released it like 3 years ago, they actually like put good artwork in, but the original artwork is just awful. Really bad.
One of the worst covers I've ever seen is the Panteras. The first album cover that they have is diabolically bad.
It's
You
really
actually
bad,
guys got featured. One of my favorite YouTube channels was Gonolock, who does the bastardized history of artworks. Is it Gonolock? Yeah, but those videos are so funny. The where he goes through metal bands' artworks. I think Gorgoroth's Gorgoroth? No, not Gorgoroth. What's it? Gorguts, I think, had a pretty fucking brutal one. He just destroyed them basically for their shitty artwork when they started off.
Boy.
Are we featured on the artwork one?
No, you're featured on the Irish black metal one.
Yes, I knew that one.
Which is a fantastic episode. I still laugh every time where he talks about Primordial, and he's like, with their latest release, where lesser men have tripped. It's like, I don't know why. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much, but every time it's just a video of a guy going down the stairs.
I like.
To be fair,
I like watching him in his struggle with pronouncing names.
Yeah, I wish he made more videos. He stopped making videos. I always thought they were very, very funny.
He's still on social media though, because
does he?
Yeah, well, he liked something on the page there like 2 weeks ago. So
cool. All right. Okay.
He's still active in some way. But yeah, I mean, when that happened, that was wild because I didn't even realize that was a thing until I saw it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
He was very praiseworthy of you guys as well. If I remember correctly.
Like he said he bought like a whole bunch of the CDs or merch.
Yeah, he bought like loads of stuff back in the day, which was really, really cool. Because I mean, when the band first started, like I didn't really know who was buying what, like obviously, because you just kind of do it, like, and then it just kind of happened. And that was pretty sick.
You know what would be a good shout if we could send him a free copy of Dialtus and Think on Your Sins as a thank you for featuring us.
Yeah,
seeing how we're doing the US release.
There we go.
We'll save this episode as well, so he knows that he has it in Word that you can't go back on.
I mean, we know his name and address, so.
Jesus, I'm just looking at my camera. It has gotten fucking dark. But
it has, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Just to reiterate, any shows that you have announced where people can see it before we finish up here.
Let me get out the calendar.
Well, you have one on August 16th in Chennai, which is with their last stop that I'm putting.
Yes, that's the one that if you're in Ireland and if you're in Dublin, that's the one you're going to be able to like see.
Yeah,
because the rest of them you're either going to have to travel for, or you just won't be able to make. And then but our next show is in Cavan, and that's Scream for Me. Nice. So that's
June 1st.
Yeah.
I remember the name of the place, but it's somewhere in Cavan, probably the local rock bar. I was going through the calendar, the stuff we got released. We are going to Scotland in July, going to Glasgow Ivory Blocks and the Aberdeen Melfest, July 11th and 12th. We're doing the Hammerdown Festival in Brighton, July 20th. August 16th, we're going to Dublin, Chennai. September, we're going to Hull, Bolton, and the Cosmic Voyage Festival, and one more show to be announced. We're doing... we haven't announced that one yet, so I will not say that one yet.
Nice.
And we're doing a big US re-release next month.
Fantastic. Very, very busy, guys. But guys, obviously, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. Mark, it was a pleasure having you for the first time. And obviously, you know that I'm a massive fansy, so to have you on the podcast is awesome. So much appreciated for taking the time to come on.
Thank you, man.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
So that is the end of our episode for today. Obviously, I want to give a massive thank you first and foremost to Darragh, CJ and Mark for coming on the podcast and chatting with me. I think everybody knows at this point that I'm an absolutely massive Horrenda fan, so much so that I'm actually getting him to play my birthday for the second year in a row. It was a great excuse to put on a gig. But I love this band. I really do love them. And I'll put a link in the description below for all that they have going on, including tour dates, where you can get their merch, where you can buy their music. But just an absolutely phenomenal band. And just a wee bit of housekeeping before I finish up. First, we'll do the shows. So I have two coming up. The first one is in June in Chennai. It's with Skinner, Joe Maxey and Dig Deep. Tickets are €15. The early bird is all gone, and there'll be a link in the description below for that. But it's on June 12th in Chennai. And then the next one is obviously the band that we were just chatting to. It's Horrenda's headline show with Their Last Stop. And there's a third band that's going to be announced later on soon on this podcast, which I'm very, very excited for. They're really, really fucking cool bands. So that is going to be on August 16th. Tickets are €12. I think there's just a tiny bit of early bird tickets left, but there'll be a link in the description below for that as well. And then just in terms of the podcast, if you liked that episode and want to hear more just like it, give the podcast a follow on whatever you use to stream it. Helps me out tremendously. Genuinely does. I'd really appreciate it, as always. And then if you're feeling very kind, drop us a review. That'd be awesome as well. But as long as it's positive, do not give me a negative review. Thank you very much. But yeah, thank you very much, Horrenda. Go listen to them. And thank you for listening. We'll be back again soon for a new episode. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you very much again, and goodbye.